Michael Jordan, Mozart, Faker. These are the names and faces of people who've mastered their skills and achieved greatness. But how does one achieve greatness? How exactly did they do it? And most people would answer this question by saying that they're just talented or they got lucky. And most of us have been fed these kind of answers our entire life. We've been put under the assumption that certain people are born with greatness sewn into their DNA. But this is simply not the case. When growing up, Michael Jordan wasn't even the best athlete in his family. And in his sophomore year, he didn't even make the high school basketball team. And by the standards of mature composers, Mozart's early work was not outstanding, and his earliest pieces were most likely written down and improved upon by his father. On top of this, music critics like Harold Schonenberg argue that Mozart actually developed late, since he didn't produce his greatest work until he had been composing for more than 20 years. Even Faker has struggled with his confidence in his own skills, claiming that there are plenty of other players that are as good as him, if not better. So it's obvious that these great figures haven't always been at the top, that they weren't born with greatness in their DNA. But if this is the case, then talent isn't the biggest factor in their success. And there must be something else that's responsible for their success. But what is this key factor for achievement? And how can you take advantage of it to climb the ranks, or even become one of the greats? For decades, psychologists have been struggling to answer the question, is there a such thing as innate talent? And the obvious answer is yes. For example, not everyone is born with the physical genetics to become a 6'9" basketball player. And so the equation for high achievement seems to be talent plus preparation. But the closer psychologists look at the careers of the gifted and successful, the smaller the role of innate talent seems to play, and the bigger the role of preparation seems to play. In the early 90s, the psychologist Anders Ericsson and a few of his colleagues studied musicians at Berlin's Elite Academy of Music. In this study, they divided violinists into 3 groups. In the first group were the stars, the students with the potential to become world class. In the second group were those considered good and were less likely to play professionally. And in the third group were the students who were unlikely to ever play professionally. Then all of them were asked the same question. Over the course of your entire career, ever since you picked up the violin, how many hours have you practiced? As it turns out, everyone from all 3 groups started playing around the same age of 5 years old. And in the first few years, they practiced roughly the same amount, about 2 or 3 hours a week. But around the age of 8, they noticed that some started playing more than others. The students who were considered stars began to practice more than everyone else, practicing 6 hours a week by age 9, 8 hours a week by age 12, and by the age of 20, they were practicing over 30 hours a week. When answering the initial question, by the age of 20, these elite performers had each totaled 10,000 hours, while the merely good students had only totaled 8,000 hours of practice, and those unlikely to play professionally had totaled just over 4,000 hours of practice. Ericsson and his colleagues then compared amateur pianists with professional pianists. Unsurprisingly, they saw a similar pattern. The amateurs by the age of 20 had totaled 2,000 hours of practice, but the professionals, on the other hand, had totaled 10,000 hours of practice. And in study after study of composers, basketball players, fiction writers, chess players, and more, the same number comes up again and again: 10,000 hours. And so researchers have considered this the magic number for true expertise in a given skill. But let's put this 10,000 hours rule into perspective. If you, a competitive gamer, practiced 5.5 hours every day for 5 years, you will have achieved 10,000 hours. Now, that's a lot of practice, and practicing that amount requires a high level of dedication. And that level of dedication is simply what it takes to become a pro. While growing up, Michael Jordan wasn't even the best athlete in his family. And in his sophomore year of high school, he didn't even make the school basketball team. But not making the team triggered Michael into practicing harder, putting in much more time, much more effort, and honing his skills. In the next year, he not only made the team, but he blew away everyone's expectations. He then took the principle of hard work and dedication with him every step of his successful career. By the standards of mature composers, Mozart's early work is not outstanding, and Mozart is considered a late bloomer by some critics. But this doesn't take away from the fact that at the early age of 21, he created an original concerto to be considered a masterwork. And by the time Mozart created this, he had been composing concertos for 10 years, working hard day in and day out to perfect his skills. And Faker, the 3-time world champion of the League of Legends LCS, wasn't born a gaming god. In fact, he just got a head start. Faker has been playing MOBA-style games since he was a kid, allowing him to develop his mechanical skills even before League of Legends existed. And even today, he credits hard work and dedication as the reason for his team's consecutive success. Faker even said in an interview, "There is a simple reason why we've been dominant for such a long time. We practice more than any other team." So many people are held back from ranking up and becoming high-level players simply because they don't put in the work. They don't think that their efforts will be good enough. They don't think that they're talented enough. Or they simply aren't willing to work hard to achieve their goals. But this is the sole reason that greatness is only achieved by a select few. The few that believe in their hard work. The few that put in the hours to master their skills. And this is why you need to shift your paradigm. You need to accept that you literally have what it takes to become a high-ranked player or even a pro. And if you get stuck believing that you aren't talented enough, you'll never grow. You'll never accomplish your goals, and you'll just end up becoming another average player. So stop being limited by the idea that you aren't good enough. Stop letting talent be the reason why you can't achieve a higher rank. And stop letting distractions keep you back from improving your skills. Because once you start working harder, once you dedicate yourself, once you commit to putting in the hours, there will be nothing stopping you from climbing the ranks and maybe even becoming one of the greats.
Hey there, e-athletes. I hope you loved this video, and I hope it really showed you what you're capable of achieving. Because if you're willing to put in the work, then there's really nothing stopping you from becoming a high-level player. Anyways, if you got a lot of value from this video and you think others will get a lot of value from it as well, then feel free to share it online. Help your friends and your followers on social media realize what they're capable of. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.